So I'll let you say a word on it when you're there, but I think will make people happy. So your presentation, Gaultier, is okay. So it's here. It's on PDF.
It looks much bigger than it is actually. And sorry, Ariane, I don't mean to haggle and to keep the floor as too long. But I'm going to skip through it very quickly. And I got actually a couple of slides that you can add at the very end to comment, but it should be quite quick. How long do I have for the introduction?
Usually 15 minutes.
Okay.
So maybe try to aim for 10 so that we can see. Usually it takes a bit longer. Let's see. So since it's not a PowerPoint, I'll see if let's see. Sharing my screen. Okay. Itzel, ¿cómo lo hacemos con un PDF? Viendo cómo lo puedo hacer.
Puedes presentarlo igual como un PDF, pero tendrías que ir moviendo la ruedita hacia abajo.
Ya, no hay problema, pero estoy viendo cómo lo hago. Ahí está, no sé si lo ven.
Está cargado. Y por mientras, saludar a todos los que se están conectando. Estamos haciendo las últimas pruebas de la plataforma a medida que ustedes se van conectando. Así que los invito a apagar sus micrófonos y sus cámaras.
I cannot mute myself for some reason. Are you the one muting my mic, or how does that work? Ah, yes. No, it's good. Okay, great.
Okay. Gaultier, do you want both PDFs, France and the slide deal room?
Yeah, that'd be great, because the deal room one at the latest one to show just a couple of them to show the support of the ecosystem. And actually, Sweden is ranking quite well as well. I don't know if you're familiar with those slides, Ariane. Is it something that you have? Do you know them?
The deal room?
It's the deal room report on ecosystem support during the COVID crisis,
Yes,
which rank France #1 in terms of decisive, and Sweden the second one. So yeah, we both look good, so it's great.
Friends.
I know.
No, we've been working. I don't know. No, Paris isn't in, but I'm in a network called the Scale Cities. So we work quite a lot with deal room, but I won't talk about any numbers today. I will just try to promote Stockholm and why the startups should come.
Wow, no numbers, just the way of life, the Swedish way, right?
Just soft values.
Jeez, I'm a treasury guy, so I'm going to swamp them with numbers. They're going to just hate me after that.
Hey, sorry, can everybody see the presentation now?
No, yet.
The inside of the French Tech? Can you see it?
Now,
I cannot.
Yes, I see it.
Excellent. Okay.
Yes,
Gaultier, so that's how we'll do it, all right?
Well, the things like I don't see it because I'm not on the Teams website thing, but I'm going to start with the first one, and then when I'm scrolling down, I assume that you will do it as well when I let you know. Is that okay?
So you tell me next, and then I'll go.
Okay, great.
The order, all right? I see 1 to 15. Those are the slides I see.
Correct. Yes, exactly.
Excellent. All right, so I'll stop sharing my screen for. Actually, I'll share this. Hello, Esther.
Hello. Sorry for I had a meeting before. Sorry for being late.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Esther, would you just like to share your screen so that we know that you can scroll your presentation, and then I think we're good to go.
You're speaking to me or to Gaultier?
Yeah, instead, I have Gaultier's presentation, but do you want to share your screen to show your presentation, and then we'll know that we're good?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll also put it on my desktop, Esther, so just as a backup.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent.
Oh, is it possible? Because it would be, for me, really interesting to get these presentations.
Yeah, sure. I will
For
be
example, this one.
We can share them all afterwards, right?
Correct. Yeah.
All right. So should we start? Itzi, I don't know if Sophia is already there, but Itzar?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no,
I'm
that's
calling.
right. It's okay. So
Let's start. We are ready.
thank you so much. Then I'll share my screen. So thank you. Well, thank you very much to everybody. Thank you very much, everybody, on behalf of the Swedish and French ProChile offices. I'd like to welcome everybody and to thank you for your interest. Can you see the screen?
Yes, Ignacio, perfect.
Thank you very much. So, well, this morning, good morning in Chile, good afternoon here in Europe. As I said, the offices of Sweden and France, the ProChile offices, would like to welcome you and to give you an overview of our innovation ecosystems. Constanza, the director in Sweden, and I would like to mostly give the floor to our experts so they can talk about their ecosystems. First, we would have a greeting from Sofia del Sante, who is the head of innovation at ProChile in Santiago. Then Constanza, who's the trade representative in Sweden, will give an introduction on her office's strategy. Then she will give the floor to Ariane Bucquet Pousette, who is the project manager at Startup Stockholm, to give you an idea of that ecosystem. Then I will make a short introduction of innovation in France and of this office's strategy in terms of innovation. Then we will have the pleasure of welcoming Gaultier Brans and Gazeau from French Tech, and Esther Moyou-Mogo from Paris&Co. We will introduce these experts in due time, and then we will have some time for questions. I should say that Ariane, unfortunately, is going to have to leave a bit early, but please know that we will be taking questions by email. So even if we don't have enough time to take all the questions, please know that we'll still be available. And also that the offices in Sweden and in France are always available to answer any questions, and we really encourage you to contact us with more specific requests, because we're there to help. So I will give the floor to Sophia.
Thank you, Ignacio. Hello to everyone.
Thank you so much for joining. As Ignacio was telling you, I'm going to take just a few minutes to tell you a little bit about the role that we are taking in terms of innovation in ProChile. As you might know, Chile is very committed to the right development of innovation in the country, and of course the growth of these companies to other markets. And in that sense, the innovation department of ProChile is fully focused on helping startups and scale-ups on their expansion process to new markets, understanding that for these types of companies, this is not an option, but a need, because we need them to grow globally in order to be successful. So in that sense, what we do at the innovation department in ProChile, it's basically to bring these companies closer to the different ecosystems and opportunities that we are finding all over the world. And in that sense, I want to especially thank Esther, Ariane, and Gaultier for joining us today, because we truly believe that information will lead to better decisions. And in that sense, we want Chilean companies to have a great overview of the opportunities that different ecosystems are offering for Chilean companies that need to expand to new markets. We know that France and Sweden are great ecosystems in Europe that could be great platforms for innovative companies that are going from Latin America to Europe. And in that sense, the idea of this session, it's basically for companies to get a better overview of what the ecosystems are offering, what are the opportunities for Chilean companies, and that you can have a better perspective of the opportunities that you might have in the different markets. So I want to invite all participants to take advantage of this opportunity. It's not every day that we have experts on the field with you guys in order to answer your questions. So make the most out of this session. And I, of course, want to especially thank Ignacio and Constanza and the offices of ProChile in France and Sweden for making this happen. Again, the innovation department is truly committed with the development of these companies and their international growth. And in that sense, we really appreciate this initiative. And I think Ignacio and Constanza, that it's right to say that this is going to be just one of many opportunities that we are going to develop in order to bring this ecosystem closer to the startups and scale-ups that we have in Chile and that have an international potential. So thank you, everyone. Again, yes. Esther, Ariane, Gaultier, thank you for joining us. And with that, I'm gonna go back to Ignacio so we can move forward with this very interesting session.
Thank you very much, Sofia. Now I will leave the floor to Constanza so that she can introduce the Swedish side presentation.
Thank you so much, Ignacio, Sofia, and everybody that are with us today. I will just share my screen. 2 seconds. Hope that you can see it.
Yes, Constanza.
Okay, I will just talk a little bit about the innovation ecosystem, give you some key facts about Sweden actually, because we have our expert Ariane with us, and she will explain more in details. So I will give you a quick overview, some key facts about Sweden and the Nordic countries. We are more than 27 million people living in the Nordic nation. These are countries with a high GDP per capita. Considering that Swedes represent less than 1% of the global population, the Nordic nation has a big influence on global innovation. As you can see, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark are always ranked within the top 10 in different innovation surveys. Let me see here. The next slide, it's about the government has an innovation strategy. The purpose of this strategy is to contribute to a climate with the best possible conditions for innovation in Sweden. This strategy constitutes a basis for a long-term way of working in order to intensify the Swedish innovation climate and innovation capacity. This involves everything within smart cities, infrastructure, life science, well-being, just to name a few. Sweden is a small country, but it's an innovation leader in Europe 2020, followed by Denmark, Finland, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. One example is the country's social stability and the access to government support, as well as a high degree of equality has made Sweden to develop a good business environment. Sweden's long-term focus on education and research has also had a major impact on the capacity for innovation. When it comes to research and development, Sweden has one of the highest investment, which is more than 3% of the country's GDP. This is more than many other countries invest in R&D globally. Two of the main cities, that is Gothenburg and Stockholm, these cities are considered hubs for innovation worldwide. In Gothenburg, we have a business region, Gothenburg, that promotes innovation in the south. They have really interesting science parks, test beds, and helps people that have ideas within innovation area to connect with the right companies, to find a business partner, and have great tips to get the right funds. And regarding Stockholm, we have our expert in a few minutes that will explain in detail the ecosystem in Stockholm, so I will leave that to her. Some important key players that you should keep in mind is the government agency Vinnova plays a central part in Swedish research. The innovation agency promotes and funds research projects in a wide range of fields, from health and transport to industrial material and smart cities. Then we have Tillväxtverket, Swedish Agency for Economic and Regional Growth, that also build up competitiveness and facilitates entrepreneurship around Sweden. And the last one is the Knowledge Foundation that involves funds research and competence development at Sweden's university college and new universities. How the last slide is a little bit how we can help you as ProChile in Sweden. We have some market reports about the Swedish innovation ecosystem that we can share with you. We can help you program your visit to Sweden and meet some key players. We made a market report about fintech also that we can share with you. We can help you organize B2B meetings online and find partners in Sweden, and also help you participate at trade fairs and innovation events. So there you have an email, and muchas gracias, thank you. And now I will present our first speaker that is from Sweden. Her name is Ariane Pousette. She's the project manager of startups in Invest Stockholm, the official investment promotion agency of the city of Stockholm. She works very closely with the city's vibrant tech ecosystem and startup scene. Prior to joining Invest Stockholm, Ariane held executive position in business development, sales, and public relations at larger US company. She's also a mother of 3 and an entrepreneur by heart. So please welcome Ariane. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation, and the screen is all yours.
Thank you. That was so nice of you. So let's see if I can manage to share my presentation.
Sure, yeah.
So guys, can you see my screen?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, let's double check this. Can you see it now?
Nope.
I knew there was going to be some problem with this.
Probably is loading.
It's inevitable.
And what about now? No?
I think it's okay.
Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you can see the presentation.
I can't on my side. I don't know why.
Is it the same for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't see.
So watch anything.
Oh, I tested this before, so it should work.
I can see you.
Can you see me? Can you see? Can you see? Oh, no.
Yes, no.
Perfect. So just a little bit more intro. Invest Stockholm is the investment promotion agency, as Constanza said. And if you are a Chilean company wanting to come to Stockholm, we give all our services free of charge. So basically, since we know all the hubs, we can put you together with the experts in fintech or life science or music tech or wherever you, or which vertical you have your startup with. So please feel free to contact me and I will put you together with the right people. So what we do is that we usually travel around the world to talk about how we became the unicorn factory. As you probably know, or as mentioned, we're a really small country, but we have a lot of companies that have reached the multi-billion-dollar worth. So after Silicon Valley, we're the biggest. So I usually start with talking about 5 reasons why you should come to Stockholm or why we became the unicorn factory. And we're the world-leading tech and innovation hub. This changes a little bit over the years if we're 2nd place or 3rd place or 5th place. We have a strong talent pool and we have progressive values. We're early starters, which means that we have a great test market. And we actually ranked also for the best place in the world to do business. So you can really trust people in Stockholm. But since this isn't enough, what we see that the talents look at is the high quality of life, that we have a supportive social security system, and that it's a great place to raise the family. And then also it's a clean and green and healthy city. And for all the startups that are involved in sustainability or in renewable energies, this is really the right city to be in when it comes to SDGs, other global goals. So to start with, let's take a little closer for the 10 values. So we're a world-leading tech and innovation hub. As mentioned before, we do produce more unicorns, billion-dollar companies per capita after Silicon Valley. And of course, there's many reasons, which I would talk a little bit about. But in most of the ranking, as Constanza mentioned, at the European Scoreboard of Innovation, we usually rank high on those. And innovation is really in our DNA. There's a lot of inventions that have come from Stockholm and Sweden. Like, for example, I will mention one that I'm sure you didn't know, and it's the Coke bottle. The form of the Coca-Cola bottle is from Sweden. And the safety matches. So there's a lot of things that we're using every day that comes from here. So we really usually mention that Stockholm is in our DNA. Then to talk a little bit about what you see here is a slide from actually the talents that have come from South America or other parts of the world. And it's their quotes of why they tend to start their startup in Stockholm. And this is a quote from Hannah Al-Jofri from Singapore, who was the previous marketing manager at iSettle. And looking at the startups, overall, there's 20 startups on 1,000 employees. So if you compare that to the United States, there's only 5 startups in 1,000 employees. So we see that a lot of people start to work with a startup before creating their own startup. What's also a great reason why for startups to come to Stockholm is that we have the free universities and we really have a highly educated population. So we see that looking at the talents, we have no talent outflow. So if you come to Stockholm, you usually stay here and continue your life. And this is a great Indian woman who works for Telia, one of the biggest phone companies in Sweden and Stockholm. And this quote really says it all, that equality isn't perfect in Sweden, but it might be the best that we have in the world. And even if you, as a startup, don't think about these values every day, we do here. I mean, we talk about how we could get more female entrepreneurs, how we can get more investment to female-funded companies. And just closing the funding gap for people that has another nationality than Swedish or being a woman. So we really work hard on getting a more equal startup scene. I went to India and they asked me, so how did you build the tech ecosystem? Can I just copy paste and do what you've done? Yeah, you can try, but when we look at the reasons is why we're so good is that we're early starters. And this actually already started in the 1990s when everybody got a free personal computer. So that together with in 1994, when Stockholm built the world's largest open fiber network, everybody tapped into that. So that was the early days of the internet. And so we've been building this ecosystem for a really, really long time. And as mentioned in the beginning, we rank often as the best business, or having the best business climate in the world, and being a great place in the world for doing business. And that's, of course, due to the political stability and long-term economic growth. And looking at the sixth reason why we have so many talents also, this is Gonzalo Melo de Oliveira. He's a back-end developer at iZettle, and he came here from Brazil. And I love these quotes because they're really saying that you can have a balanced life in Sweden. Nobody's going to ask you questions if you go and pick up your child from daycare, and you can have a career even if you have, you know, you're a mother of three like me. So this is also another great quote. She works at Lifesum. She came from the US to Stockholm to work as a platform engineer. Another reason, the seventh reason, is our social security system. And this is really why entrepreneurs dare to take risks, is that, you know, you will be able to go to the doctors. There will be somebody who will help you to pay the rent. The government, you will not fall in between the chairs. So it's a safe country to start business. And this is also related to it. As a parent, you realize if you're a man, there's a lot of, there was a campaign called Swedish Dads. So around the globe, say you can be on paternity leave for 6 months. And that's really unique because that's one of the places, there's no place like this in all over the world. And this is also something that's really important here is the nature and all the talents and the tech scene that we talk about, to really enjoy the fact that you can go swimming just in the middle of the city. You can take your bike and be in a forest in like 0 seconds. And this man works for King. He comes from UK. So what we're thriving after now, since we already have a mature ecosystem, is to create the impact unicorns of Europe. We have a hub called Norrsken, and we really are trying to talk more about not making $1 billion companies, but talking about companies that can make a difference for 1 billion people, which I think is a really great goal to have. How can we change the world to a better place? So to sum it up, we could say that we have a supportive startup ecosystem. We have access to co-working spaces, to events, innovation grants, as mentioned by Constanza. And we have a lot of investment coming in to the startups that are here in Stockholm. I will not go through these slides, but it's just tell how geographically everything is from a walking distance. And this is how we present the Stockholm tech ecosystem to kind of, it's like a wheel and everybody's needed in it. And last year we realized that our tech ecosystem is so huge. We have so much public support and angel investor and venture capital. So how can we start to talk more about the verticals? So we did this for the fintech companies. So you can, have a better view if you're a fintech company. We did this for the music tech companies because there's a lot of music tech. Everybody knows Spotify, but there's other great companies as well coming out from Stockholm. And this is also a big part of the ecosystem, and it's the food tech companies. And that's really growing, and we're working really hard on positioning ourselves as a food tech hub in Europe or the world. So with that said, I'm almost done. So if you guys want to get in touch with me, feel free to just pop me an email at ariane.pousette@stockholm.se. And reach out if you need any support to come to Stockholm. Thank you so much. That was all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ariane. That was an extremely interesting presentation, and I think it fulfills our objective, which was to give a taste and to give some interest on the two ecosystems. So thank you so much for a great start. Hopefully I'll do okay because it's my presentation now, but we'll introduce the French ecosystem. And if you can see the screen. Yes, can you see it? So my name is Ignacio Morandé. I'm the Trade Commissioner at ProChile in France. And the idea is to give you a taste of the French ecosystem. What are some elements that make it attractive, and especially how we can support you as in the ProChile office in Paris. We'll leave most of the time to our amazing speakers, so I'll try to be as brief as I can. However, I'd like to give you a sense of why Chileans should be interested in France as an ecosystem. Some elements that make it attractive are its strong education system. There's a basis of over 1 million engineers, and also 44% of young French people have tertiary degrees. And also there are quite a bit of experts in artificial intelligence, over 13,000, which is quite impressive, to give you just a few examples. Also, France has a very strong base on research and development, not only related to innovation, but this is actually a long tradition, if we could say. France has organized around 56 competitiveness poles or clusters, and this is basically an association of industry, technology hubs, businesses, and academia. So this makes it extremely interesting. They're based all over France, and they offer a concrete application of certain technologies that are coming from academia and that have a very practical application. So, well, you can find many examples of, but they're around the different strengths of the ecosystem. So France is known for many things, but some of the elements where it's very strong. It's software and technology. Also, as you know, automotive industries, there's Renault, Citroën, Peugeot, but also a lot of services and developments that revolve around these industries and clusters that develop around it. Also, food and agro-tech are very strong in France. Space and aeronautics. For example, in the plane industry, France is the only country, along with the United States, that has an integrated industry that can produce the whole plane in a way. So there's quite a bit of experience and technology that goes around this. Also, smart cities and circular economy are of great interest because Chile has a lot of ties with French companies that are present in our country and that develop technology and invest in our country. So innovation is in a way a gateway. And if you work in these sectors, it's very easy to segue into innovation in France. So I said that France has strengths in hard sectors such as the ones I've described, but also soft sectors in a way. France, of course, as you know, has a very long and prestigious tradition in fashion, in tourism, in the arts, and there are many ways in which technology develops around these sectors. One of our speakers is going to speak about incubators, and as you will see, France has developed advantages around these industries as well. So that's quite interesting. Why do we focus in innovation in ProChile France? First of all, it's because we're very confident in our entrepreneurs. So we're extremely happy to see that you have an interest in that there are so many companies and startups that are interested in this presentation. We know that Chile has state-of-the-art innovation. There's, of course, Startup Chile, which has given our country a big prestige around the world. Gaultier, our other speaker, is probably going to make a short reference to that. We know that there's a lot of impact, innovation as well, social entrepreneurship, etc. So we know that there's a lot of interesting, let's see, primary material to work with in Chile. What we can do as an office is to support you in developing meeting agendas. We also develop ecosystem studies that you can find if you write to a contact email. There are also trade fairs that are quite interesting in France. Another strong point, and we think that this is key, and this has been sort of the hallmark of the last 2 years, is trying to develop strong partnerships with local leaders. It's in this respect that we've invited the French Tech that I'll discuss in a bit more detail in a minute, but it's sort of an umbrella sort of brand for the French ecosystem, and also with some private actors such as Paris&Co, which is a network of incubators that we signed an agreement with and where we have access to a soft landing in Paris. Why is it a key to have local partners? It's because, as we said, we do have confidence that there's really a lot of potential in Chile, but it's also very important that these local partners help us transform that potential into concrete opportunities in the market. So we find that there's nobody better. Of course, as ProChile, we are the gateway and we're the bridge to connect you to the ecosystem, but it's our local partners which are really able to open the most doors. And we'll also talk about a success case that Paris&Co is going to discuss. There are also trade fairs, for example, Vivatech Paris. There's the hacking of the Hôtel de Ville, which is also associated to Paris&Co. Gaultier is going to address some tools that are available for French Tech. There's also Paris Retail Week, etc. Lastly, we have also explored venture capital lately. We think that venture capital is not only interesting because they invest in our companies, but because they can really create those bridges between the ecosystem and our startups. So just to introduce our two speakers, we will have Gaultier Brans from the French Tech, which is as I said, the umbrella for the French ecosystem. It's a very interesting initiative that's public and also private, and in that it creates sort of a label for the ecosystem and it organizes the public offering in this respect. So it's going to be great to hear in more detail from Gaultier. And Esther Moyou-Mogo is going to talk about our partnership with Paris&Co, which is a network of incubators with which we have an agreement, and they're able to provide a soft landing that Chilean startups can apply for. And this gives an amazing entryway to 14 different incubators in very specific sectors. So I don't want to take more of your time, and especially I don't want to take more of their time. So I'll let them present. And as I said, if we have time for questions at the end, we'll take them. If not, you can email us, and we will be sure to give you an overview and to reply and to point you in the right direction. So thank you very much. I'll leave Gaultier.
Okay, Ignacio, gracias. Buenos días a todos. I will not try to do the presentation in Spanish, even if Ignacio dared me to do it, but this would be a catastrophe to do so. And I also knew that I was going to have some problem with the presentation. So Ignacio, I think you have it on your laptop. If you can just put it on the screen, that would be much easier rather than going through my connection. And in the meantime, I should actually start by saying that we do value our cooperation with Chile very much. Ignacio mentioned that Startup Chile was actually an inspiration for us when we created French Tech in 2013, in terms of having the government, especially the Ministry of Economy and Finance, propelling the French ecosystem. But also you have to know that our embassy in Santiago is very much involved in everything related to innovation. They have a competition. We have an agreement between the French Public Bank of Investment and Corfo to promote the startup and joint innovation. We also are very proud to have the only site of INRIA, which is the French National Institute for research in informatics, in new technology, which is actually, they have an office in Santiago, which is a full-fledged office. So they have a lot of exchanges between Chilean and French researchers and scientists. And so we are very, very strong in cooperation, and we, of course, intend to do as much as we can in that particular respect. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to give you a tour of inside of French Tech, which is what we do. And through letting you know what we do, you can have a look at what the problems that the French ecosystem is still facing, because I think this is where we need to do a lot of efforts. And also you get a view of how the French ecosystem is structured currently. And I'm not going to touch base on the incubation programs, because of course Esther is going to talk about that much more eloquently than I was going to be able to do. Ignacio, can you push to the next one? So the French Tech, I'm going to start with our mission, which is very clear, is to transform the France into the great home for global tech champions with a positive impact on the country. And that allow me to say on this particular slide, because that relates to the values that Sweden was pushing forward in her presentation. No matter what you choose, for us, whether you decide to expand to Stockholm, or if you want to expand to Paris, or if you want to expand to Berlin, whatever, as long as you come to Europe, for us, the goal is very important, because we're trying to develop a European ecosystem, and we do share those values of having, positive impact, people that want to leave a positive mark on the planet, want to change a lot of things. So, the positive impact is shared by a lot of European ecosystem. Of course, France is very big on that, but please consider us as one European ecosystem in which you can choose the city you want to live in. But, mark my words, if you want to move to Paris, and sorry, Esther, for saying that, but for us is of course very important. But if you choose to go to Sweden rather than expanding to, say, the US or China, for us it's already a great thing. So that's our mission statement. Ignacio, can you go to the next one? And I will let you know how we are organized. So what we do is based on 4 pillars. It's based on talent, making sure that we have a strong and diverse compatible talent reservoir. Investment, so trying to bridge the investment problems that the market is not addressing. Transform the government into the best wingman possible, and also get the startup to grow bigger in terms of market access. So those are 4 pillars that I'm going to go through today. So next one. As you can see, it's only 15 slides, so keep with me. Okay, so concretely speaking, this is what we do. So we have I'm going to get through all of those details. So it's ranging from startup policy to government funding, and also community projects. So you can go to the next one. The second one Okay, so national program. To start with, so we do once again, we operate from the French Ministry of Economy and Finance, and then we have a lot of programs that we develop at the national level to make sure that we can grow an ecosystem. So they can either be a promotion like French Tech 120, which I'm going to talk about later on, but also very important for us on growing the national pool of talent. So we have a program called French Tech Tremplin. The objective is basically to make sure that the ecosystem is not only populated by people like me, white male in their 30s with a good degree of education, but also that we want to bring especially more women and also more people from different walks of life and different upbringings into making sure that our ecosystem reflects the values and the social fabric in which it's created. So this is a very important program for us as well. So second, can you go to the next one? Ignacio, sorry, that feels pretty lame to ask you to do so.
No problem.
Okay, so French Tech 120 is one of the 2 national programs that we have. Very important for you to understand that. So we select based on strictly quantitative data the best, what we consider are the best 120 startups per year of the French ecosystem, and we give them a year of unlimited support from the government. So you have the list of the French Tech 120, which is actually divided in 2 subcategories, French Tech 120 and next 40, so the 40 biggest one and the 80 following ones. And we dedicate our resources, which are 51 French Tech correspondents, so in each ministry and public agency, basically, that exists in France. We have at least 1 French Tech correspondent, which is one guy in charge of making sure, one guy or one girl, in charge of making sure that they can actually have a person to talk to and someone which is actually going to address the problem within the administration. So we want to turn the government into the best support possible. So French Tech 120, it's a marketing tool, but it's also a very important tool for them to actually get access quicker to the resources and of the state. So can you go to the next one?
Yes.
So our position within the government is also very important as a policymaker. So this is a picture of the Minister of Economy and Finance and the Minister for Digital Affairs, who is under the Minister of Economic and Finance. So what we do is through the interaction that we have with the ecosystem, we try to make sure that we identify the problems that they have on a daily basis, and then try to make sure that we can address those problems. So be them, as I told you, from actually getting them support from the administration, but also when the problem is structural, making sure that we can actually change the laws and change the regulation and change the fiscal thing and change the tax system so that we can actually address the problem from a structural basis. So this is also where we are a bit standing out in terms of an organization, because we're not only doing promotion, we are also in a capacity to change the law and regulation to organize the ecosystem the way we think it's fit to develop itself. Can you go to the next one? So that's what I mentioned. This is actually where the picture of exactly where I'm sitting now. So you can see the rooster behind me. This is the one you can see on the top left. So we have an office in Station F, which is the biggest incubator in the world in Paris. And Station F, we have a deck there where we host all the correspondents that I mentioned already. So we are pro-startup public services. So we make sure that we can develop programs that actually make sense for the companies themselves and not from the government point of view. So it's a very bottom-up initiative. The whole French Tech is structured this way. So we actually don't develop any program as long as we don't see the benefits from a startup point of view. And this is where it happens in French Tech Central. Can you go to the next one? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the first one was actually, so the national programs, this one is on investment. So the French tech ecosystem we have a wide range of tools that we can use to make sure that it's properly financed. Currently speaking, I'm not going to dwell too much into the details. If you want some more information about that, I'm happy to share them. Basically, the Series A to Series C is pretty much covered by the French VCs and ecosystem. What we're looking for is trying to make sure that we can increase the participation in the seed funding, especially in deep tech, and also making sure that we can address the growth stage and late stage fundings as well. So we have a wide range of actions to do so. We have a fund which is called French Tech Seed, which is going to invest some money into the seed companies as well. And also we are trying to make sure that we stem we make sure that the institutional investors are going to divest some of their money into the French ecosystem. So last year we managed to secure 5 billion euros of investment from the French insurance companies to make sure that they can finance some of the tech ecosystem. And also we are doing a lot of efforts to attract capital from where actually growth stage and late stage exists, which is mainly the US and some funds in Northern Europe, the UK and Asia, to make sure that we can have the best tools possible for the French startup to grow from seeding to late stage. They can cover whatever they need within the French ecosystem. So it's attracting the best investment and the best investor strategy in France as well. Can you go to the next one? So this is a bit technical, but some people are asking whether you can get the presentation. Of course, you're going to get it at the end, so you can dwell into the details. That's a snapshot of where ecosystem was pre-COVID. So it's not really interesting to get into this one. If you can go to the next one, which is where we actually are standing currently. I just wanted to show you that the French government support through the crisis has been extremely strong. So I'm just, this is in French, sorry about that, but I can just get into a bit more details. So the top line is actually what we've done for the startups themselves. And of course, we have current 4 sectoral plans: the tech plan, the tourism plan, the automotive plan, and the aeronautics plan. And within all those plans, we're trying to make sure from the government point of view that we direct some money to the tech ecosystem. So the tech ecosystem, we have specialized measures that were actually taken through COVID, which were ranked by D-Room and sifted as the #1 measures in Europe to support the French ecosystem. We're the fastest in the world to enroll actually funds to support the French, a bridge fund to support the companies during the COVID. And once again, this is because we know our ecosystem, we're very close to it. It's a bottom-up initiative, so we are able to enroll some numbers as well. So take it as you wish, but this is mainly of a European feature, and I have a couple of slides to support that later on. Basically, the European ecosystems, through the way they're organized and the strong presence of the government and the state at pretty much all level, were able to support our ecosystem much stronger than many of our counterparts were able to do so, especially in the Americas and Northern America. So our startups are doing fairly well. I mean, all things considered currently, because the dry powder is quite high. Most of them actually had some money stock for the 2020 that they're using for the COVID. So it's not a good use of the money, but at least they have it. And of course, the strength, the answer from the government was pretty strong as well. And at the end of the presentation, I have a couple of slides to support that. So basically, the message here is that the French government and the French ecosystem is very much supported financially as well, in terms of making sure that it can support the difficult times that are coming ahead. Next slide, please. And of course, that support extends to every startup which is located in France. We, of course, as long as you have a company incorporated in France, even if it's a Chilean company, of course, you're eligible to the support of those companies. We do a bit of ecosystem marketing as well. One of the issues to make sure that our startups are known, so they can access talent, that they can access funding. So we have a wide range of initiatives that we do in big fair. We have programs that, Viva Tech, of course, is one of them, but of course we go to Web Summit, to CES, etc., to make sure that we promote the brand. You might have seen the red rooster, which is behind me, which we put everywhere. That's the emblem of the French ecosystem. And we're trying to make sure that it rhymes with the values that were stated at the beginning of openness, cultural impact, and of course, a lot of things that come with it in terms of excellence, resources, talent, funding, etc. Almost done, Ignacio, the clicking bit. Can you go to the next one? Sorry about that.
Yes.
Well, I told very quickly about how important it is for us to have a bottom-up initiative. We rely strictly and purely on the communities that we have built. So we have more than 100 French tech communities. We have 53 in France, and oddly, we have more of them at the international level, with 56 of them. Sadly, we don't have one in Chile because the number of French entrepreneurs is still pretty limited there. But if one of you feels like creating a French tech community, because we are, of course, very open, and you don't need to be French to be, or either to speak French to be in the French tech ecosystem. You just have to, want to work with us and, abide by the values that we promote. So we have 53 communities at the French level, 56 at the international level. And the goal is to make sure that we can get as much details and feedback and ideas and brainstorm with the entrepreneurs themselves, so as we adapt the system, what we do to the real needs of the entrepreneurs and not what we think are the needs of the ecosystem from the Ministry of Economy and Finance point of view. I've been working in the Ministry of Economy and Finance my whole life. I have zero idea of what it is to be an entrepreneur. You guys have no idea how hard it is to work in administration, and we want to keep it this way. I'm not pretending I know what you do. You just have to let me know what your problems are, and my job is to design programs to help you out. And this is basically how we work. Next slide, please. And I think that's the last one.
Second to last.
Second to last, but last one is probably a thank you note for all of you. Yeah, and that's how we organize, which is probably how I should have started it, but I'm sure you were waiting for this at the end. So you can see that we are organized in a very circular manner. So you can see at the very center is the core team of people that actually work only and purely for French tech. It's about 15 people in the French government. We have, around this, a team that is like extended team within the government to actually which I partake, because I work in the treasury and not for Mission French Tech itself. Around it, we have the 100+ communities that I just mentioned. And the last layer is the correspondent that I mentioned at the very beginning. So basically, you have a very strong reach within the ecosystem to be able to get to develop our programs, and also to make sure that we have a lot of partners to enroll them at every level possible. Ignacio, at this stage, I'm going to ask you to go to the other PDF that I sent you as well, just to give you a very good snapshot of where we're standing in terms of organization.
Deal, right?
Yeah, deal room run. Yes. Exactly. So that's deal room reports that was published last week. I just want to give you a couple of slides to show how we are faring in terms of COVID support. If you can get to the second slide, this is showing how the European institutions in general have responded quicker than their counterparts in terms of supporting the crisis. So, of course, I selected this slide because France is on top, as of course I wouldn't have done it, as you can imagine. No, France was the quickest one to react, and we actually, the amount per startup funding is the highest. But of course, our German friends, Swedish friends, the Dutch, etc., just were very quick on enrolling programs as well to support their ecosystem. And if you can get to the next slides, this is how we are faring in terms of leading the VC investments change on a yearly change. And kudos to the team at ProChile, because they selected France and Sweden as the people talking today. And a miracle happened. We happen to be the number 1 and number 2 in terms of support of changes in the VC funding rounds since the beginning of the year. So in a nutshell, a very dynamic ecosystem, and we are very keen on trying to make an impact. We need as many talents as possible, as many startups as possible. Once again, come to France, come to Sweden, come to other European countries. We'll be very happy to welcome you, because the way the fabric of those ecosystems are made is designed to make sure that we have a strong interaction and that we can actually work together that make impact. I'm going to leave the floor to Esther now to report on the programs. And I sound very odd now, so I hope you don't get the same feedback. Thank you, guys, and I'll give you my email address in the chat if you want more information about everything.
Thank you very much, Gaultier. That was an excellent presentation. And now we'll give the virtual floor to Esther, yes, who is from Paris&Co. And it's, as I said, a very strategic partner of ProChile France in providing support through incubators. So thank you so much. The floor is all yours, Esther, and we can take questions for everybody at the end.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen? Is that okay?
Yes, we can.
Great. So thank you for your time in being here. So as Ignacio said, I'm working in Paris&Co, a network of incubators, and I'm working in the startup development team. and I'm in charge particularly of our international programs for foreign startups. So if you join us, I will be your referent during your experience with us. So I'm just going to start with a quick presentation of Paris&Co, which is the innovation and economic agency of the Paris metropolitan area. We have three main activities. So, of course, incubation. We have today 14 different incubators whose mission is to support French and international foreign startups in their development. We also have an urban experimentation department, which allows people, association, corporates, or anything, which has a project linked with city challenges to test it in one neighborhood of Paris before the commercialization phase. And the third main activity is open innovation. We have an open innovation department which allows to create synergies between corporates and startups, so that startups can try to find new potential clients or partners, and so that corporates can stay at the cutting edge of innovation. This is Paris&Co is the largest incubator in France, with more than 500 startups supported in 2018. And this year is around this figure, with more than 100 corporate partners, around 30 experimentation conducted in the city, and more than 200 partnerships between startups and corporates, which are our partners. Here you can see some of our private partners. So you have different industries, so as I said, the startups we support are able to meet them and to have meeting with them and potentially work and collaborate with this kind of partners. We also have institutional partners. This is the same idea. I didn't say it, but Paris&Co is partly financed by the city of Paris and La Métropole du Grand Paris. So there are our major partners, public partners. Just to give you more details about our incubators. So today we have 14 incubators with 14 different verticals. So you have sport, food tech, health, circular economy, real estate, logistics, sustainable urban mobility, tourism, digital publishing, creative industries, e-sport, fintech, and retail, and HR. And these incubators actually are spread across Paris. We have 10 different sites, and we try to find sites and places which are linked with the sector vertical of in the incubator. For example, Le Tremplin, which is the sport incubator, is in one of Paris Stadium. So that's pretty much it. We also, as I said, support foreign entrepreneurs. Here you can see some key figures. We started this kind of programs like around more than 3 years ago, and we had more than 500 applications, which represent around 80 nationalities. As you can see, they come from all over the world. We have a lot of applications from Asia, but also South America with our different partners like ProChile, also Africa, Europe, and North America. So it's quite heterogeneous. And so we help these French startups to explore the French market and to meet the key actors in the French tech ecosystem. And yes, we are here to support them depending on their needs to understand the French market. So the idea was also that I present you our international program for foreign startup. So I'm going to present it to you. Actually, we changed it a bit. Now it's a 2-week program with 4 main support components. The first one is an industry-focused support, which consists on one-to-one coaching sessions with dedicated mentors, depending on the startup sectors or industry. So here we put some example of industries we have in Paris&Co, as I said before, like sport, media and culture industries, health, etc. And so you have one-to-one meeting session with mentors who are able to make you better understand your market in France and with an industry focus. And they all explain you how to attack the market in France, present you the key actors, etc. You also have, we can't guarantee this part, but you can also have the opportunity to have access to B2B meetings with some of our partners, the one you might be interested in. But of course, they have also to be interested in your solution to have a meeting with them. So this was the sectoral part. Then you have event and networking support. Actually, we organize our programs during key events, business events in France, so that you can you have the opportunity to meet with the French tech ecosystem. And so here we decided to organize this program during 3 moments in the year. The first one is around February or March. This is changed now, a big summit, international summit dedicated to positive impact. So you have like startups which has a positive impact on human or environment, big corporates also focusing on this theme, and other association. It's an event which gather all the impact ecosystem. You have another event called the Hacking de l'Hôtel de Ville, which is an event organized by Paris&Co. This is it occurs in the City Hall of Paris, and this is also an international event where you have B2B meetings with corporates or startups or whatever you want. You also have an experimentation place and where you can expose your solution. And of course, like in every event, you can network with the people who attend this event. And the last one is Vivatech, which is one of the biggest business tech event in France, where actually I think the large part of the tech ecosystem is participating. So for this, so as I said, we organize this during these events. So in our program, it includes, of course, pass for one of these 3 events and a pre-event coaching with 2 of our experts who explain you how to do business with French companies, and another one another workshop which explains you how to pitch and how is the best way to pitch to a French company. Then we have an entrepreneurship support. Actually, we give you access to all Paris&Co programmation. We organize and offer different workshops and one-to-one session with experts on general business topics. Here you can have some example, but it goes from fundraising, finance to HR or UX design or marketing, communication, and so on. So you will have the choice actually where you are available or not. You will have, or if you have a particular need, to choose the workshop which would be proposed at this moment. And the last component is an international support. So as I said before, the goal also of this program is to explain you how it works in France and how the market and the market works, how the legal and tax support, tax and aspects are working, and how you can optimize your business development and your market penetration. So here you can see some you can see all the workshops we organize. You have a workshop on the media and PR in France. We also try to, sorry, there is a mistake. It's not Korean. It's normally it's foreign entrepreneurs. You also have some startups which implemented in France, which comes and explain you how it was for them, how they did, what they faced, and so on. Then you have a workshop about all the commercial control aspects, intellectual property. You also have a workshop about grants and R&D in France. And to finish on legal and tax aspects, you also have one workshop to explain you which structure, legal structure you may choose according to your startups and your activity. You have one about HR, how to manage French people and so on. And a last one about more practical things like visa, resident permits, and personal taxation. As I said before, each program takes place during a key event. And for the event I told you, Change Now, which is dedicated to impact and to startups which have positive impact, we actually, the program is free, totally free of charge. Because this is one of the mission of Paris&Co to promote positive impact and startups which have an impact on a good impact on human or environment. So when you apply for the program which takes place during Change Now, the program is totally free. However, at other times when the program is not dedicated to impact and we are not selecting only startups with an impact, the price of the program is 3,000 euros per startup. And that's it. And you would have an office not far from the Champs-Élysées, which is pretty nice, during all your stay with us in Paris&Co. So that's it. No, that's not it. I just wanted to give you an example of a startup. As Ignacio said, we closely work together, and we wanted to show you a video of one of our alumni from Chile. And because they are now, so they participated in our program and now they are developing in France. This is Time Traveler. And just to show you what they do. It's working. So if you're interested in the French market, feel free to contact me. You can have my details here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Esther. That was extremely interesting. Thank you so much as well to Ariane and to Gaultier. That was, I think, a very interesting overview of the two ecosystems. And as I said in the beginning, the idea was to give you an interest and to explain what the positive aspects of both ecosystems were, to know that we have great local partners, and also that the ProChile offices in Sweden and in France are there to help you find your niche and the perfect partner within the ecosystem. So we have some questions for our speakers. We actually, I think this is the first time this happens whenever I've been in a panel, that we're actually not only on time, but we have a bit of time, an extra time. We're ahead of schedule, so that leaves a bit more time for questions. The first one is I believe that Ariane had to go, so it was for both ecosystems, but I think only France would be able to reply. Well, first of all, they're requesting the presentations, and they're also asking whether we can help facilitate, how you can help settle a Chilean company in the local ecosystem. If you could touch upon a bit more on the different promotion tools, sort of more specifically, if you could.
Well, that's more the task for Paris&Co. So, I mean, we have no program to help them settling in per se. I just want to mention, although from the government point of view, that we do have the French Tech visa, which is the tool that you will use to move yourself, if I may, to France. It's currently standing what we think by our own standards, the most powerful tech visa in the world, meaning that it's diploma agnostic, it's nationality agnostic. It's a visa for 4 years for you and your family, and you get it in an average of 3 weeks. And it's, of course, the visa itself is free. I mean, you don't have to have like requirements such as you have in the US in terms of funding. So you have to pay for the visa fee, but it's not like it's pretty cheap compared to what you can do in other countries. So this is the tool that a French company would use to recruit you if you want to move as an employee, which is the biggest French Tech visa, sector that we have. We also have French Tech visa for founders and for investors that you can look into as well. But that's like for just a framework of how you can actually get to France for that. So have a look into it. But as it, when you talk about the process of arrival and people holding your hand to set up in the ecosystem, this is exactly what Paris&Co is equipped to do. So Esther is much more qualified than me to talk about that.
So as I said, we have like a component dedicated to international subjects. So if your need is to, you had a specific need actually. What was the exact question?
Yes, they wanted sort of a general overview of the different benefits you have. So I think that Esther actually covered them in the presentation. There's also a question about somebody who has a company in the United Kingdom, which of course through Brexit is in the process of leaving the UK, I mean the European Union. Mm-hmm. They know how they can hire somebody in Sweden or France, and how somebody if somebody who is working in Sweden or France could be hired by a UK company or whether they would need to start a company in the UK. I mean, in France or in Sweden to operate. Excuse me? Sorry, did it cut off?
So they want to hire someone from France to work in the UK, is that it?
No, it's a Chilean company that has been settled in the UK. Okay. Right? Yep. And they would like to know whether they can hire somebody in France with a company that's UK based.
Okay. Yes. Actually, if they want to develop their French market, they can hire a French person that develop it in France, but it works with the French law. Then, if they develop their structure here and they develop the market here. But at first, if they didn't create a structure, it works with the UK law.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Gaultier, if you, I don't know.
Gaultier, I don't know if you were.
Yeah, sorry, I have a hard time muting myself. Well, of course, the answer is technically yes, but if you do want it to be efficient, it's much easier to actually have set up a shop, a subsidiary in France, which is by all means very, very quick and very easy. And for a number of reasons, including the one that actually should be the one that you're looking for the French market, which is the Brexit, because many of the services, support, advantages, whatever industry you're in that you enjoy in the UK now are pretty much going to be over the 31st of December. So it's you are in the UK, it probably is a good idea to have a look at continental Europe now, to operate from it if you want to actually access the European markets in general, because we don't really know what the negotiations outcomes are going to be, but it's very unlikely that they can, it's going to remain as such. So the answer is twofold. As currently standing, you're bound to do it. It's not a problem, but in the future it might create unnecessary burden on your company to operate from within the EU and outside the EU in like 100 kilometers difference through the channel. So you might as well think about relocating everything to France and then sometimes going to the UK rather than doing the other way around. But that's my opinion, biased opinion, of course.
Then we have another question on if you can find equity-free funding in France and Sweden.
Sorry, that wasn't clear. Equity funding in what? Sorry.
Equity-free funding in France.
Well, so the thing I know of is that the French Public Bank of Investment, PPI, is very strong on the market. It's actually considered it's the number one VC in Europe, but they usually intervene not on their own, like not only. So the way we try to educate the private market is through PPIs to make sure that we co-invest or we give a 50-50 ticket. But it's your investment with zero equity would be quite limited. I mean, especially now raising debt post-COVID is likely to be increasingly difficult. So if the question is like whether you can actually just not raise equity and get some government funding to do this, it's probably not sound either recommended, not possible.
There's another question for Paris&Co on the opportunities on health, food tech, and functional foods. So I guess it's whether there's an incubation on that, and if you can elaborate a bit more, maybe on some concrete cases.
Okay, so if it's so first you have to have an innovative aspect in your company so that we can select you. And once you participate in our program, we have a sectoral component. And as we have a food tech incubator, you would have a one-to-one meeting with our experts in food tech. So you will have a very focused support on this industry. And then you might be able also to meet their corporates. If you're interested in, I would be able to share with you the link of our website, and you will be able to see all our corporates and partners. If some you are interested in it, it can be a good occasion for you to apply for one of our program. And then, as I said, it's more a general support on international entrepreneurship topics. But for the food aspect, it will be our incubator dedicated to this thematics, which will help you on this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. I think that those are all the questions we have for the time being. Is there anybody else who would like to ask one last question, or maybe two? Also, there's been some questions on whether or not you can share your presentations. So I think if that's the case, if you could let them, maybe you can send them to us and we'll make sure that people receive them.
Okay.
Also, I'll leave our my email for the French for France's ProChile office. We'll share our presentation. I understand that Constanza will also share it, and that there you have her email address there. So we'll share ours, and the Paris team is available for you to support you and to be an entry point. I think we just received one last question. It's who should they contact for partnering with software on artificial intelligence and Internet of Things for energy efficiency?
Well, I assume that Paris&Co has specific programs on that, but once again, so the overall framework of the French ecosystem, we are very strong on B2B, so that's how we operate. Most of our French Tech 120 startups are very strong on B2B. There is a strong tradition of cooperation with the corporates here. So any type of solution that you're developing for IoT, energy efficiency is, of course, very strong for us. I saw a question as well about wellness. The key strengths. Sorry, I might open up the question a bit here. I'm sorry if I'm taking a bit too much of the time. But we have a discussion with our friends at the European ecosystem is, building the next Google, building the next Facebook, and why you don't have GAFAs in Europe. But the issue is not really this one anymore. I mean, of course, we're not going to build the new GAFAs, because that GAFAs are already a model of 2010 and the B2C corporation, etc., etc. What we think is going to happen now, especially post-COVID, is applications or models, business models, which are based on public goods, on which we are particularly strong. And I say Europe in general, France in particular. So all aspects related to health, to transportation, to environment, to green. So people which are likely to change and sort of have an impact. These are the traditional sectors in which the French economy is pretty strong. So if we talk about wellness, for example, a couple of very renowned startups have decided to make the move and have their European office in wellness. Headspace, for example, they opened the European office in France for that particular reason, because working with the French health system, you need the help to unlock it. But once you're into it, you don't have that many countries in the world which have, for example, 50 years of individual database, health data on every French citizen. We have incremented them and made them available on what we call the health data hub, so that companies can use that to, you know, train the algorithm, find solution. But this is once again one of the strengths of having a central state which is very strong and can support this ecosystem. And it's the same in transportation, it's the same in energy. We are very strong in those particular fields. So if you have a startup which is within these fields, you do know that you have a good level of, you know, companies, ecosystem, corporates, government to touch base with in France to develop your programs. And when you talk about AI, just one particular point, you know, the French mathematics tradition is very strong. We are, in terms of per capita, the #1 country in the world in terms of Fields Medal. Most of the AI strategy in big groups is actually done by a French person. The guy in charge of AI in Facebook, Yann Lequin, is a French guy. The guy in charge of AI in Samsung is a French guy, and so on and so forth. So the AI tradition, research and plan and development is very strong in France because our mathematical school and engineering schools are very strong as well. So, you know, we don't have really much a sectorial thing, say like Israel, where you be very strong on cybersecurity. We can cover a lot of spectrum based on a lot of the structural aspect of the economy in general. Esther, correct me if I'd say something wrong, and if you have more particular items on Paris itself, but we do have programs on many things that are of interest for you.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. In Paris&Co, however, we don't have a specific program on AI or software. It's a much more it's a transversal sector, and we only have like very specific industries, like energy is a specific industry, and what is AI or software or hardware or something or things like that, it's much more how would say means than sectoral aspect. So you won't have a support dedicated to AI or software. Just wanted to add that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Sorry, Gaultier, you wanted to mention something on well-being, wellness industries. I'm sorry, that was the questions, or was that already answered?
Yeah, I answered it by saying that we do have big names that actually have invested in France in the wellness industry, especially because they can find the support of the French health ecosystem, which is pretty, you know, strong and robust. And then you need this data, you need this organization to develop your business. So this is a place where you can actually operate from as well.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much to Esther, Gaultier, to Ariane, who had to leave. And thank you so much to everybody in Chile who was able to connect. It's really an amazing surprise. Constanza and I were discussing that it's really good to know that there's a very wide interest. We know that these are extremely interesting ecosystems. We're both very enthusiastic about the opportunities that we can find. But it's very encouraging to know that there's a big receptivity on Chile. So this is what really enables us to be able to work together. So Connie, I've let you also say just goodbye on my part, and thank you so much. And please, Connie.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ignacio, for being a great moderator, actually, and everybody that was with us today. Thank you so much. Please mail us all your answers, all your questions, please.
Good day to you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.